Hello, everyone. My name is Lane DeSalvo, and I manage competitive grant programs for the Minnesota Office of Higher Education. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Concurrent Enrollment Grant Program and how to apply. This year, we're using a new grants portal, so it may be a little bit different than what we're used to from past years, but the process is going to look pretty similar to what we've done in the past as well. So that being said, I'll talk a little bit about what the program is, and then I will share my screen and show you exactly how to apply. Concurrent Enrollment Grant Program is a funding mechanism that's meant to support the expansion of dual enrollment, essentially in Minnesota, specifically around concurrent enrollment programs. There are two options when applying for different ways that you can get money depending on what your project looks like. The first option is for the development of new career and technical education programs. So this looks like a lot of planning work, a lot of coordination work in order to bring a CTE program to a new high school or create a new CTE program within a high school you already have a partnership with. Anything related to CTE and creating or expanding your offerings would kind of fit under this category. And or the second option, which is the expansion of any concurrent enrollment program course. So that means, if you have a math course, liberal arts course, or, a language course, something like that, that is something that you're already offering students. Maybe that section is at capacity within a certain high school and you want to add in another section. Maybe you want to expand to and offer this course at additional high schools and you need to work on that partnership. Anything like that could fall under the second mechanism as well. So that being said, it really depends on what your project looks like and what you're intending to support, whether it's developing a CTE course or expanding concurrent enrollment courses that may be at capacity, or you're just, maybe in high demand. In both cases, eligible expenses could include salaries and fringe. So it could be, your salary, it could be faculty, it could be instructors. Anything related to the actual work it takes to coordinate this and, bring these ideas into fruition. There are stipends can be eligible under this grant program. So stipends for instructors, for faculty members to do some of the mentorship pieces, professional development, things of that nature. Stipends for essentially faculty and staff. There are also kind of ways of enriching your current course. So maybe that means adding in new or advanced equipment or licenses for textbooks or things of that nature, things that would bring the course to kind of the next level. Or, maybe you want to offer this course, but the high school can't afford to purchase the textbooks for their students. That's something that this grant could cover. Campus visits, things of that nature that are bringing students kind of on campus. Maybe they want to use the lab on campus to see what that's like. Maybe you want to kind of reiterate to the students, hey, this course you're taking is actually a college course taught on campus with college students at XYZ University. And you want to hammer that home and make them excited to go to your college. That's something that these funds can pay for too. So really anything that is related to expanding a concurrent enrollment program, creating a new concurrent enrollment program, or just making one kind of better or more up to date would be eligible under this grant. There's also typically an 8% indirect allowance, so that you can get some money just for the overhead costs and administration costs related to applying for the grant or managing the grant. If you have any questions about eligible expenses, please feel free to shoot me an email or call me, and I'd be happy to talk more about what is and what is not eligible under the grant. There's no minimum and maximum in terms of your request. So essentially, your budget just needs to kind of make sense and be justifiable for the work that you want to do and your scope of work. And that's the only requirement there really is in terms of a cap. An additional sort of use of funds that I'll mention is essentially to support the recruitment and just general support services for students who are underrepresented in concurrent enrollment and or underrepresented in college. They are essentially overlap in terms of what students we're referring to. These are students who are low income, first generation, English language learners, students with a disability, students of color. These students, we want to increase their participation in concurrent enrollment, especially for those who are eligible. We want to increase their interest in college and generally speaking, make them feel supported when they do take a concurrent enrollment course. So what that could look like is, whether it's extra advising, could be tutoring, things of that nature, access to equipment, marketing, could be an event that you're hosting with parents. It could be translation services for materials related to enrolling in concurrent enrollment courses, anything like that that is specifically for recruiting and supporting underrepresented students is also an eligible use of funds in this mechanism. So essentially, there are these two options. They both have very similar uses of funding. It's just dependent on what your project looks like and what you are intending to do. These grant contracts, should you apply and be accepted for an award, these grant contracts are about 1.5 years long. The proposals are due mid-December. We'll probably give you a response as to whether you were selected by mid-January, and then mid to late January, and then we'll get your contract started, and they should end June 2024. So yeah, 1.5 years of funding. We typically pay via reimbursements. We have 2 reports that are due per year. One is an interim report and the other is a final report. And really that's not per year, that's whenever your project is finished. And other than that, we'll be in touch and kind of troubleshoot, update your contract if we need to with a new budget or things like that. But there's really just I want to be able to create as much space for you all to actually do the work as possible. So we're not going to try to intervene or anything like that. Okay, so now that we talked a little bit just in terms of an overview of the grant program, one thing I'll just add really quickly is that in terms of what institutions are eligible, if you are NACEP accredited or are seeking NACEP accreditation, then you are eligible to receive a grant. The only things that I want to also reiterate in terms of eligibility are that there are a lot of ways that we can look at expansion and what is needed in order to expand concurrent enrollment in Minnesota. And my view of what that could look like might be different than what this grant program is really intended to do. So even though we may need more instructors who have their 18 credits and are credentialed to teach these courses in order to keep expanding concurrent enrollment, unfortunately, these funds are not used for that purpose. They're not used for professional development, but maybe there can be some way to move funds around so that this grant program takes care of a lot of the work when it comes to planning and implementing these concurrent enrollment courses, so that there could be freed up funds for professional development or some other way to make that work. But unfortunately, these funds are strictly for program related costs. Yeah, so with that being said, if you have any sort of question about the program, eligibility, what being a grantee looks like, or just general questions about the application process, please feel free to email me, call me, and I will help the best I can. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. This is the very unassuming grants portal. We probably at some point should add the word grants portal to this page so people know what they're signing into. But for right now, this is it. You're going to first want to create an account. This is pretty new for, I think, all of you. So you're going to want to create a new account and then sign in to get access to the portal. Okay, this content, this text, I believe, is just for admin access. So this may look a little bit different on your computer, but what you're going to want to do once you are in this general landing page is click apply. That will take you to the available grant competitions and RFPs that are out right now. Right now, as you can see, there's the David Tomasoni ALS research grant available. I don't think that's going to be of interest of any of you, but if you want to check it out, you are more than welcome to. And then there's the concurrent enrollment grant. For some reason, clicking this link doesn't do anything, so you're going to have to click view grant to access the page. And this will look like the first page of any RFP you may see. Really, this content is the same as the last RFP with just a couple updates. We have deadlines on the left side of the page. So the intent to submit form is due November 4th. It is today, as I'm recording this, November 8th. So if you didn't already submit an intent to submit form, go ahead and do so before you submit a proposal. There's no hard deadline necessarily. We just wanted to kind of see what volume of proposals we'd be working with this year. But at any time you can fill out, it's a very simple form with just your contact information and have access to the full proposal so that you can apply. And just because you submit an intent to submit form does not mean that you have to apply and submit a full proposal. It just gives us a heads up and also gives you access to the full proposal. My contact information is listed below that, as well as my supervisor's contact information and our phone number. So if you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to contact me. An overview of the program will be listed first. We have eligibility next. And here we have just an explanation of funds, how long the project period intends to be, and exactly how we'll be reviewing the proposals that we receive. Again, a timeline is listed at the bottom. And then you also have access to more information, essentially. We have the minimum requirements of your proposal here. You don't have to worry about this like Appendix C, Appendix D. All of that is online in this web page. So it's really just letting you know, hey, these are the things we're going to ask for as part of your proposal. But you don't have to actually do anything. It's all going to be fillable online, or you can upload a Word document or PDF if you'd rather do that as well. In order to apply for this grant, you will need a couple of things. So aside from the actual proposal, we will need a letter of commitment from the high school you're working with, and or union boards, chamber of commerce, employers in the area that are help supporting your project, anything like that, any partnership that's being that you might rely on. They should just write a quick letter saying that they're on board and are excited to work on this with you. And then if any positions are being funded with this, with your award, we're going to want a resume of positions that are being funded. So let's say this, we're paying for your staff time with this funding. I only need the first 2 pages of your resume, the latest version that you have, that will just show what exactly we're funding in terms of, there aren't any made up people involved. So yeah, if the funding is paying for salaries and fringe, please include the first 2 pages of a resume. Any other appendices, like if you have tables, reports, meeting minutes, anything like that, can be added as well, but they're not required. Something that's really important about this program is that there is a large equity component, and when we review proposals, the rubric has a total of 20 points dedicated to equity. So you want to make sure you're really focused on how this project will contribute to having equitable outcomes for the high schools you're working with, for the college, for the community, and what you are doing to support students of color and underrepresented students who this course will serve. Again, this is just for your information only. All this stuff will be accessible online, but it's all right here, so you know exactly what you're going to need to talk about in your proposal. We have same thing as every year that we've had this program, essentially, but demonstrated need, and then a little bit of what you can write about and describe and document. The plan of operations, so how this is going to actually work and what the project's going to consist of, outcomes of your project, etc., an evaluation plan, So that is how you are going to be tracking the outcomes of your project, how you are going to be tracking progress, anything of that nature. Adequacy of resources and quality of personnel is another is just another area of evaluation that we're going to use to score the proposals. This in particular is less about, are those 2 pages of your resume, does that make you qualified? More about, focus more on the adequacy of resources. Are the resources that you're listing as available to you adequate to support your scope of work? If you're only working on this project 1 hour a week, are we going to have a finished product at the end of the project period? If it could be the opposite, it could be, are you biting off more than you can chew, or is there a lot more that can be done with the resources that you have? So that's kind of what we're focused on here, in addition to just that, the resumes that you're going to be submitting. And then, of course, the budget is what you're proposing cost effective. Does it make sense given the scope of your work? Are rates pretty much in line with what we see in the community in terms of salaries and things like that? And then exactly how these proposals will be evaluated will be right underneath, and we have the points system identified. We have exactly the things that we're going to be looking for when it comes time to review. So a tip is to kind of start here and respond to potentially the things that folks are going to be looking for when they review the proposal. So it's all there. There's not anything missing or questions that the reviewers may have when they're reading your proposal. Okay. And then we have, there's plenty of other sort of standard information we have about public data, about the financial review process, etc. If you're interested in that, you can review that on your own time. The only other thing I think is important to note is the statute language listed here. This can help you understand exactly some of the things that I was talking about earlier in terms of what the intent is of the grant program, eligibility, and things of that nature. So once you kind of get your fill of this information, you can go ahead and say, hey, this is for me. I'm ready to apply. Let's do it. You're going to hit this apply button. First thing you're going to do is submit a letter of intent. And like I said, even if it is after November 4th, we still want you to apply. I'm not going to exclude you because it's November 8th or whatever. Just go ahead and submit a new letter of intent. Fill out your letter of intent. You're going to want to select which funding option you want to apply for. So like I said, there's 2 areas of funding. There's the development of new CTE courses, and then there's the expansion of existing courses. So I'm going to say that this is for course expansion. And then for funding option 2, which is what I selected, just noting here, this may not be relevant to your project at all, but noting if your project is related to a course currently at capacity. If so, you want to select that so we make sure that we prioritize you. And then if your proposal is focusing solely on outreach, recruitment, and student services for students of color and low-income students, you'll want to select that too, so that we know we want to use a little bit of a different set of criteria for yours, since you're not implementing a project in the same way that some other folks might be. We want to make sure that we give those proposals a fair shot by using a slightly different set of criteria, more around the communications piece. So if that is your intent and you're just putting in a proposal for outreach, recruitment, and student support, you want to select that button. Okay, here we are. Proposals. So everything that was on the first page is also listed here. You can click up, click down, etc. And then we have the actual proposal submission. So why not start off with the proposal cover sheet? You're going to click continue. It's going to pull your title from your intent to submit form. It's going to pull the funding option as well. For whatever reason, it won't pull your applicant institution, so you want to type that in again, and your total requested funds, your director information. And then this is important. We're going to put your authorized representative information here on the bottom. And you might want to give them a heads up that you're putting their information on here, because this is important. The proposal will only be considered submitted once your authorized representative signs off on it. So what that means is you're putting their name and information on here. It's being captured, and we're just waiting for you to finish the proposal. Once you finish the proposal, hit the submit button. Something's going to pop up that says, okay, this is being sent to your authorized representative for them to review. They're going to receive a separate email saying an application has been submitted for you to review. Here's the link. They're going to take a look at it. If it's good and there's no questions or anything, they're just going to click like sign off, essentially, and it's going to be officially submitted. And you should also receive an email stating that they have signed off on it. If you have not and you're curious about what's going on, it could be that the email was stuck in spam or blocked by your firewall, which is something that we've been experiencing a lot. So just check in with me. If you submitted it on time and that your authorized representative just hasn't signed off on it, definitely make sure you're poking and prodding them, but you can check in with me because I can also see as an admin whether or not they have. So if you're not getting a response, let me know and I can see where, whether or not they signed off and you just didn't receive the email. Okay, we're going to go back to the main application page. Project abstract, all of this stuff is, all of this is borrowed from past competitions. So it's the same question, same questions we would normally have on the abstract page. Again, pulling information from your other filled in boxes. And then you're going to want to you have so many options here for different types of ways that you can input this information. I mean, you have styles, you have fonts, you have format. So by all means, have fun with it if you'd like. But essentially what we're doing here is just typing in 1 to 2 paragraphs, responding to each question, the target population, partnering schools, etc. And this is going to be used, everything you put here will be used in your contract if you're if you are selected for an award. So we would literally just print this off or copy this text and put it in your contract saying these are the duties that the grantee has agreed to with their project. And those will include these objectives, the outcomes, and the evaluation metrics that you're using. Okay. Now, the only thing that's not fillable online is your program narrative. And the reason for that is just simply that it's essentially an essay. It's an essay that's no longer than 12 pages, at least one and a half space, if not double spaced. It can be Word or PDF format, and please use a 12-point font. But outside of that, you're just going to go ahead and type it up, do whatever you need to do, and then you're going to select your file and upload. Everything else is essentially you're using the portal for. All right. So for the budget, this is going to work a little bit differently than normal. So okay, so sorry about that. This page may need a little bit of work, so just heads up on that, but this is what it's going to look like. And you should be able to kind of add in a name program, name and position here. It's going to ask you the hour. It's going to ask you all of this information and then populate automatically. Or I'm sorry. It's going to ask you all of this information. You're going to put it in. And then you are also going to input your request and then also add what other funding you're using for this. And it could be institutional funds or whatever. If you have another grant or employer support, you're going to want to put in volunteer hours, things like that. Whatever other funding you're using to supplement this so that reviewers know exactly what the scope of your project is. And there is no confusion about the fact that, you know, your project may be massive and you're asking for $5,000 in funding. They don't know that you have $95,000 that you're drawing on for the rest of the project. And so they're going to look at it and say, 5,000 is not enough to cover this. This way, they're aware of that, everything else going on. Again, you're going to be able to select a field, add in multiple lines of whatever you need. It's totally fillable from your perspective. So could be, you know, you're writing in textbooks, you're writing in fees, etc. And it's going to all kind of populate here. You're going to input how much you're requesting for those things, each of those categories, and then other funds that you're using for those categories as well. Other direct costs is everything that isn't covered by salaries, fringe, and then course materials. So if there's something else going on, that could be the campus visits or something like that, you're going to want to put them under other direct costs. Your direct costs should then auto-populate at the bottom once you've filled everything else out. We did not auto-populate this indirect cost because some folks opt to use a lesser percentage for indirect. Essentially, the maximum indirect is 8%, but if you wanted to do 5%, that's fine too. This is really more relevant for programs with a cap, so that, you know, if you're requesting $100,000, you don't have to necessarily use an 8% indirect, and you could put more money towards the program. But in any case, up to 8% of indirect goes here, and you're going to just kind of calculate that and add that yourself, and then it will auto-populate your total requests and total use of other funds. Below, you'll have the option to either upload or directly input your budget justification, which just explains pretty much every item that you're including in the budget, and any other context needed to understand the budget. If for whatever reason you're absolutely like, I can't use this form, I need to use a budget template and type it in Word, you can do that. That's fine. You're going to want to upload that with your budget justification so that they're both in the same document, essentially. Otherwise, this is only going to allow you to upload one document. So if you're going to go that route and you're not going to use this to input your budget, just make sure that you have your budget and budget justification in one document, and you're uploading it together here under budget justification. Like I mentioned, this needs to be worked on a little bit. I just emailed our IT, and they'll figure out the issue so that you're able to actually input things in the space. Supplemental documents can be uploaded here. And then you'll be able to click summary, download a copy of your PDF. And this is essentially where your authorized representative is going to be directed to once they receive that email. So they will be directed to that page. Now, let's say you need to log off, log back on again. You can't all do this in one sitting. That's not reasonable. You can, as long as you're saving the sections, so like you're saving your budget, you're saving, you know, the uploads and everything like that, it will save for you when you log out, so that when you log back in, you can access the application again. So here we have previous applications. This is the test one that I just submitted, and I can click on it and it'll bring me right back to where I was, saving all the things I put in my cover sheet and whatnot. So again, you submitted everything, your authorized representative will be brought here. They're going to type in their signature, confirm, and then, I mean, before they do that, if they would like, they can download a copy of the PDF here. The reason why I cannot download a copy of the PDF right now is because I didn't really submit anything. So that is why that's coming up. But they're going to download a copy, they can review it, and then they're going to type their signature and confirm. And that is how you apply for the concurrent enrollment grant. If you have any sort of technical issues, please send me an email. It does say, you know, when something goes wrong, quote unquote, that an incident is reported, and that's true. I have many times been contacted by IT to let me know that an incident was reported through the portal, that they're taking care of it. But it's always best to email me as well so that I can follow up on the issue and make sure it doesn't happen with other folks. So just send me an email, let me know that you're experiencing some kind of issue. If there's anything that pops up or anything like that, screenshot it, and so I know what the error message is, whatever, and I'll make sure that it gets resolved for you as quickly as possible. If for some reason there are errors happening on December 9th at 4:29, this portal will not automatically shut down at 4:30. So like I'll be able to see that you submitted it late because of the issues that you're experiencing. But I'll have a mental note that the reason why it's late is because of the website, which is beyond anything, it's not at all your fault. It's our fault. So it will still be accepted and submitted on time. Remember that the authorized representative has to sign off to consider this proposal submitted. Other than that, you'll be able to download everything yourself if you'd like. So you can save a copy of the application on your computer. You can access the application as long as the RFP is live for. After this date and time, I mean, it's probably about a week after, it's not going to be immediate, we'll remove the concurrent enrollment grant program as an option in terms of applying for a grant, so that you won't be able to access the application at that point in time. But it's not going to happen immediately. And until then, you can always view grants. You can refresh yourself on some of this, very compelling information, and access the application if you'd like. Okay. So we are, we went through kind of an overview of what the program is. We went through exactly how to apply for the grant. If you have any questions at all, send me an email, whether it's related to the program overview or anything else. I will say that sometimes people email or call me and say, this is my idea for a project. Do you think it would work? And I can tell you, hey, that project seems like it would be eligible. I can't tell you necessarily what reviewers are going to want to see, what is going to, how it's going to compare to other proposals you receive. So I have no say in actually what gets funded necessarily. It's all based on the scores that reviewers provide. So, and the availability of the funding. If we get 3 proposals as opposed to 30, obviously the competition would be very different. So I can only give you so much information, but sometimes it just is a matter of wanting to talk about the idea out loud to get a better idea of what you're doing, and just get some validation that I'm happy to give. So again, give me a call if you need anything. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. So enjoy the portal, enjoy the application process, good luck, and I will talk to you all soon.